So in the past week, a couple of friends have been asking me, what kind of shows are you watching? What have you seen recently which was good? And that's pretty common question because the only way to know about a good TV show or a movie or a book or a podcast is by experiencing it or by recommendation. That's precisely why I created this show. Now today, I'm assuming most of you have watched Fleabag. If not, what are you doing with your life? It is a brilliant comedy that explores what it takes to be human. However, today we are not talking about that. Today we're talking about an underrated gem, a show that touches on human emotion within the comic space. But what happens when you have the comedic view of a working mother, which is not a spoon fed slapstick comedy? You get Better Things. Better Things is a show with a simple premise of a working motherhood with 3 girls. But the show is so much more than that. It is a raw exploration of searing situations and relationships, straddling the lines between drama and comedy. And the show has very real lived in textures rather than coming across as very artificial and made up sets that it looks like they are different characters put in the setting and they're acting. It has its light moments, but definitely not afraid to go into very dark places. Credit goes to Pamela Adlon and her girls for this realistic portrayal of feminine energy, which is so refreshing to see that it breaks new ground, sometimes loudly, sometimes subtly. It's not afraid to get into murky waters. The show treats the audience like a fly on the wall, but an intelligent one within the lives of these people who are messy, flawed, make mistakes, learn from it, and that is what it makes it amazing and different from regular sitcoms, where the show forges a path on its own. Pamela Adlon as Sam lives in LA with her 3 daughters who range in age from around 12 to 19. The temperament also varies from prepubescent sweetness to savage adolescent entitlement. Across the street lives a mother, and that is just about it. The banality, comedy, frustration, weirdness of daily life exist all in this functionally dysfunctional matriarchy. I just could not get enough of it. And it has such a good repeat value. In one scene in which Sam both resents and accepts her kids taking her for granted, after all, she's also human, she knows that they need her as a stable post to sharpen their claws on, though she does have a breaking point. You're a cunt, Max, Sam snaps, after Max pushes one step too far. You're a big fucking cunt, and your sister's an asshole. And your other sisters? She's great. The tension melts, and mother and daughter collapse laughing. It's funny, because it's true. While comedy shows usually dip down in terms of content and laughter as the seasons progress, this has been completely opposite for this show. It only has gotten better with age. The bittersweet ode to the daily highs and lows of being a single mother has changed quite a few hands, especially after Louis C.K.'s sexual misconduct and firing of art directors. But Pamela Adlon behind the scene triumphed and knew what she was doing. Be it in front of camera or behind the scene, the show has been its most audacious self, in its best moments, which have been way too many, to be honest, and still leaving you wanting for more. Keep a lookout for Sam's clothes, especially her amazingly hard rock edge meets very feminine energy jackets. I want a couple of them. The strength of Better Things lies definitely in its casting. The 3 actresses who play the daughters have made the characters so enriched and their own. And Sam Fox, as Pamela Adlon's own alter ego, is a wise, vulnerable, fully capable of yet still avoiding a royal screw up. It is such an enriched and fully realized character. She's a woman's woman, not a man's fantasy for one. And that is the most refreshing change to see on screen. It is underappreciated and not seen comedy that no one seems to know about until I talk to them about it. And that's why here I am recommending this to you, because it is so worth it. And I'm very picky about what I like. Pamela Adlon is nuanced, sharp witted, bold, and right up there with the brilliant creators like Phoebe Waller Bridge and Amy Sherman Palladino in my books. Yet, very few people know about this show. Hell, we could use a little more intelligent laughter in our lives. Subscribe to this podcast on your favorite app and send in your comments and feedback at benchboxpodcast@gmail.com. See you next week.